Greetings, cinephiles. Are you looking for a movie analysis podcast that stands above the rest? Then look no further than Collateral Cinema, the only movie podcast that matters.
We analyze good movies, we analyze bad movies, and yes, we also analyze the in-betweens of the world of cinema.
So if you like what you hear, find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.
And yes, my friends, we are 420 friendly. So when you listen to us, smoke it if you've got it. And now, here's a new episode of Collateral Gaming. The show starts right now.
I'm Ashley Chancellor, and this is Collateral Gaming. Welcome to Collateral Gaming, the only video game podcast that matters, where we focus on good games, bad games, and everything else in between in the world of gaming. We are podcasting straight from Houston, Texas, and yes, my friends, we are a 420 friendly podcast, so whatever you have, be it bongs, blunts, or joints, smoke it if you've got it. And, mes amis, we have a very special episode for you guys here. This is another solo review, but I am excited nonetheless, and I will have plenty to say to cover for anyone else that may have been on this episode. Shout out to Michael Toscano. I definitely would have invited him for this one because he's very excited about one of these games. But unfortunately, he's just not in a place where he's able to record right now. But hopefully, we should get him on for our Elden Ring Night Rain episode. But Michael, if you're listening, there's your shout out, man. This game, well, actually, we're going to be talking about two games because these both came out on the same day, and it was always my intention to cover both. Now, one of these in particular, I absolutely just had to talk about. Like, it is my game of the year. So far, I mean, Metroid Prime 4 is coming out later, so, there's always there's a strong chance that may be my game of the year. But as of right now, wow. But the two games that we're going to be talking about are Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which we will definitely be revisiting later and doing a spoiler review. Like there's just no way we're not. And the 100-line Last Defense Academy. As I mentioned, both of these games came out on the same day. I was playing them the same day. So, and they're both really good, and I'm really excited to talk about both of these. But in particular, Expedition 33, and we're going to start off with that. Man, this game has been generating a lot of buzz. People are calling it the return of turn-based combat or turn-based RPGs. I have some thoughts on that, of course, but like right out of the gate, guys, like I'm going to tell you, that's the game I'm saying is my game of the year right now. It is, wow. It's so good that it is now in my top 5 favorite video games of all time, I think. Definitely, easily one of the best video games to come out in the past decade. A strong example of how modern gaming is not dead. It's not, guys. There are plenty of great games. In fact, if you were impressed by this, I can give you a lot of others, just to show you guys that gaming is still good. A lot of these are coming from AA studios, actually. They really been up in their ante, listening to feedback, in kind of like the general way that people interact with AAA companies. So, shout out to our AA developers. This one comes from a new studio, that is Sandfall Interactive. Some may describe them as an independent studio. I believe this game started development independently, but obviously, they've got the budget to really go all out. And as I understand it, the group of developers started out very small, but at the end of the production, the list of people that worked on this game was a lot larger. Even so, incredible achievement, starting with a studio of a very small team, and just the fact that they were able to get talents like Charlie Cox and Andy Serkis and Ben Starr in this is really quite amazing. But as I understand it, the composer was somebody that they just found on the internet. So go figure. Lorien Testard. Wow. Whew. Man, this guy. Yeah, let's talk about the music. Because, yeah, let's get that out of the way. Because the music in this, God, I've been listening to it on repeat. I've got every single one of the albums that's come out on Apple Plus added to my library. I keep listening to these. God, the soundtrack is just incredible. It's so good from beginning to end. It'll really, really help with some of those moments and just really either make you cry or just pumped up with anticipation, especially at the end. So I actually just completed the main story for this game. Now, obviously, as this is a game launch review, we're going to be keeping this spoiler free. Like I said, I would love to talk about Expedition 33 in a spoiler review at some later point. Squeeze it in next season, maybe. I don't know. It's going to happen. But yeah, the music is just, yeah, man. I've just blown away by this, and I think it's what really sells it for me. And like I said, just going all the way up until the end. I still have some post-game content to get through, go through New Game Plus and all that, so I'm definitely going to want to revisit this game and really just explore all that it has to offer. This might be one of those that I just have to platinum, like Silent Hill 2. Another game that came out very recently that just blew me away with how beautiful it was. Just every single aspect. In this game, same. I mean, right out the gate, this game is going to make you cry within its opening moments. It did it for me, man. I was straight balling, man. I don't even want to give away too much of the story. I don't even really want to give away the premise because I feel like the way that this game sets it up is so perfect and gives you just the right amount of exposition and really kind of allows you to piece some things together. It's a great example of show don't tell, you know? So I don't even really want to ruin that experience for you by getting into the premise of the game. Just keep your tissues handy because, yeah, you will cry right during the opening. And then there's a few more twists throughout the game that will continue to have that effect on you. I mean, right at the end of Act 1, crazy plot twist. Some people might have been able to see it coming, but yeah, man, that was wow. And this game just does not let up. The story is easily one of the best I've ever seen in a video game. It is just brilliantly written, wonderfully acted. I mean, like I said, we have some big names here on the talent list, but everyone just brought their A game to this. Charlie Cox may not be recognizable face-wise. Everybody says he looks more like Robert Pattinson, and I agree. But I will say, as far as the voice talent goes, I mean, you can expect every bit as much work as he puts into, big shows like Daredevil. And so, and really just all of the cast really just brought their A game on this. It is just such a wonderfully produced piece of media. Now, moving on, because I really can't talk too much about the story, but moving on to the gameplay. Right, so this is a turn-based RPG in 2025. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is the return of turn-based games, and they were dead, and this is them being resurrected. Don't get carried away, because there have been plenty of really, really, really good turn-based games in the past few years. I mean, we're talking Persona, Yakuza, Octopath Traveler, Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. There are plenty of really great turn-based games coming up, to this. But, I mean, this really is the cream of the crop. I think this game just got just the right amount of buzz to hit with the mainstream gaming crowd that it's being recognized. And I hope that this is an avenue for people to explore some of those great games. If you enjoy this, I would easily recommend Persona 5 or Metaphor Refantasio. If you're looking for something that is similar style of, we'll call it JRPG style. There's some debate over whether this should be considered a JRPG. Some people say that JRPGs, the term JRPG only applies to video games that are produced in Japan. That was kind of my understanding, but some are using it to refer to a style of turn-based RPG, and I can see where that this falls into that style, because it's really going to remind you of games like Persona or Metaphor in particular. But I'm seeing a lot of people actually compare this more to things like Legend of the Dragoon, or the Mario and Luigi RPG games, what with the, dodge and parry mechanics and quick time events. So it's a little bit of a mix, and I think that this game also appeals to the mainstream gaming audience in that, a lot of people who don't like turn-based RPGs, who are going to feel turned off by that, gave this a try and ended up really, really enjoying it. So, and I've heard that a lot. So that really says something. I think that, the timing-based, parry and dodge system and the quick time events, both of which, by the way, if you don't like those things, there's accessibility settings that can automatically do everything for you. But I mean, for me, that would be making the game way too fucking easy. Even though I could be trash sometimes, I'm really not good with parry mechanics. I'm actually going to go ahead and say that this game will force you to get good, and that's kind of the overall opinion here. The overall thing that people are saying is that I think Sandfall actually sent a tweet or something that said something to the effect of, reminding players that, you don't always have to parry. You can do the dodge because the timing is a little bit more forgiving until you learn the enemy pattern, and then parry. And then that's kind of the way that I approach this game. But a lot of people retorted that, no, you just need to get good at the parrying. You just continue parrying until you actually succeed at it. Just keep dying until you actually succeed at parrying. And Sandfall went back and replied to their tweet and apologized and said, yes, actually, no, the best strategy is to die continually until you actually get good at parrying, or something to that effect. And that made me laugh, because I can definitely see, that's the gaming approach to this. But God, yeah, you will get good. And if you felt that the game was a little bit too easy, just go out and seek out some of the optional super bosses, and you'll get humbled. I had the general experience of when I was going through the main story beats that it wasn't too difficult. Actually, my approach to games like this tends to have me over-leveled at least a little bit in comparison. I mean, by the end of the game, I had actually gone to a high-level area. I'd made it all the way through, so my characters were quite a bit over-leveled, I think. And so, that final sequence and the final bosses were actually really, really easy for me. But I still really had a good time. I mean, I've said before, I think, on the show, that final bosses don't have to be the most difficult thing in the game. That, sometimes just having it be a spectacle is enough. And in this case, I think those bosses can be super, super challenging. But if you've leveled up your characters and grinded quite a bit, they can also be super easy. There's also talks, of the cheese builds and things that you get in games like this. And my opinion on that is the same as always. I feel that taking time to seek out the equipment and resources to make these cheese builds is itself a strategy. So I think that that's totally valid. If you want to one-shot the final boss because by taking your character places and getting them, over-leveled or over-equipped, by all means. I mean, the secret boss that's in this game that is the most difficult challenge, which I haven't fought yet, but usually it's reserved for the post-game content. You go through the main story, and then you go back and you fight this guy. I have heard a lot of discourse about this guy, and I haven't experienced that battle yet, but there are basically two strategies to this. Just continually fighting him again and again and again and again until you finally get through and you just get that good at parrying all his attacks, or cheesing him. And both are valid. I know a lot of people tried to do this the conventional way, got too frustrated, decided to just cheese it. Because like I said, at the end of the day, that in itself is a strategy, and this comes, to, this carries across to games, like Souls-likes, especially like Elden Ring, being an open world and having the ability to go and grab things. We talked about that in our Elden Ring episodes. So I think that's why this game is going to appeal to even people of Souls-likes or action RPG fans. Because it definitely was developed by, with those kinds of games in mind. Even though they're not turn-based RPGs or JRPGs, I definitely think games like Souls-likes were inspired the development team. Like 100%. I mean, especially with the overly difficult bosses and just having to get really good at parrying and dodging. Yeah, right. I think that was certainly an inspiration, but also merging this with what some may consider JRPG mechanics. And again, this game is it's a French developed game, so whether or not you actually consider it a JRPG, I mean that's going to be up to your personal interpretation of the term. I'm just going to say that it does conform to that style of gameplay, and I understand what people mean when they call this a JRPG. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going off on a tangent about that again, but Clair Obscur Expedition 33. God. Yeah, this game, man, there's so much to do. I mean, it's not an open world, and yet it definitely gives you just this open, hub map that gives you the freedom to go places and explore. And you can happen across areas that you're not really supposed to be yet and encounter super difficult enemies. And I think that's actually kind of part of the gameplay loop. I mean, because even in the regular areas that you're going to go through during the story, you're going to come across some of these optional bosses and find that you're not ready to take these guys on yet. You're going to have to come back later, either when you get to the end of that area or, come and revisit it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, these enemies are placed in the game specifically for that reason. And they give you access to show you, again, if you're thinking, hey, this is a little bit easy. Where's the challenge? Oh, no, here's the challenge. And, you have the freedom to try to approach those bosses, too. I mean, the game is accessible in that sense that if you want a really, really, really difficult challenge and you just want to be very, very good at parrying, you can 100% take down those bosses early. I mean, that being said, once you get to the mid to the late game, you're going to come across some bosses that have ridiculously high amounts of health. And you'll reach the point where all of your characters are doing are hitting the damage cap, which is 9,999 damage. Even doing low level skills or even base attacks, they might be hitting 9,999 damage. So you don't actually you can't remove the level cap until you get to the end of Act 2. That's what I'll say. Once you get past Act 2. And you'll know it when you get there. You can't miss it. You can't miss the ability to remove the damage cap. And some of the bosses in this game would literally not be physically possible without removing the damage cap. So, yeah, if you feel that everything is too easy as you walk around the world and all the enemies are dying too quickly, or you're coming across enemies that you're just not putting a dent in, that it would just take far too long to be feasible to defeat in one sitting. There is a damage cap and it is removed during the course of the game, just completing the main story. So, and honestly, what I would say to people playing this game is don't be afraid to just play through the story either. I mean, with most games, I try to complete up all the side objectives as they come across too, but there definitely is some stuff that you're meant to do after certain points in the story and just come back to, or once you've completed it. There is actually quite a bit of content that is considered post-game, because even though you can complete it before you finish the story, it's significantly more difficult, and the level to which you'll need to build yourself to even, tackle on these challenges for the average player, is going to make you, again, over-leveled or over-equipped for the final story fight. So actually, there's kind of a synergy there. So you can go, fight the final boss of the story, there's two endings of the game. I won't spoil them, but you can make a decision right at the end of the game that's going to affect which of the two endings that you're going to get, and you can reload your save and see both if you want to, or play it in New Game Plus. I've heard that the damage continues to scale with each New Game Plus. People talking about New Game Plus 4. And actually, that's a lot of what I'm seeing about this game, is that people are not just playing it, but they're playing it over and over and over again. Either to reach 100% completion or because they just can't get enough of it. And I definitely understand that. I would probably continue playing this game and nothing but this game if I didn't run a podcast where we had to talk about other things. In fact, I'm so upset that I didn't talk about this sooner. It's just, we're kind of working through our backlog right now, and Again, I know that this is well past a month after both of these games were released, but I had to talk about them. That and the Nintendo Switch 2 just dropped. So I've been playing the Nintendo Switch 2. Yes, I got my Switch 2. I've been playing it. I've been having a blast. But I'll tell you what, Expedition 33 ripped me again away from that today. I finally stopped playing the Switch 2 and started because I had to finish this. I had already gotten through the majority of the game. I was right there, before the final area. And so I was like, and honestly, I feel more hyped about completing this game now than I think I have during the launch of the Switch 2. So that says a lot because I was really, really hyped about that. But man, the way that this game just came together and just continually surprised me and continually impressed me, like that is something that you can't take away. This really is how you do a video game. It should be used as an example. It should be preserved. I mean, this is something people are going to look back on, and I think it's going to hold up phenomenally well. It looks fantastic. The graphics are amazing, just absolutely beautiful. I didn't notice any significant, frame drops or anything like that. I'm pretty sure this game ran at a consistent 60 frames on the Xbox Series X. I played it on Game Pass, but this is one of those games like Oblivion that people are buying anyway, despite the fact that it's on Game Pass, because it's that good. So I played it on Game Pass because I'm trying to budget. I mean, come on, I just bought a $500 console. Give me a break, guys. But I would definitely give my love to Sandfall Interactive and purchase this at a later time. Maybe when they re-release it for the Switch 2 or next generation consoles. I wonder if they're going to try to. I feel like this could be ran on the Switch 2. It probably would, need to be downscaled a little bit. But, that being said, the Switch 2 can run 4K 60 or 1080p 120. So, yeah. But yeah, I would love to see this game on come to the Nintendo hardware. And I think it would really help introduce this to an even greater group of people. And this is what I'm telling anybody who's a gamer. Like, if you haven't tried Clair Obscur Expedition 33, what the fuck are you doing? No, seriously, go try it. Even if you don't like turn-based games, I'm telling you, just try it and see. Hey, you might be one of those people that just isn't your cup of tea. You'll know as soon as you start playing it. But I feel like most people, that's what was crazy, is like the day this game came out, people were playing this game for like an hour and they were already raving about it. They were already talking about like it was one of the greatest things. And I definitely agree with that. Just playing through like the opening like 5 minutes of the game with the story, the music, the gameplay, it feels so good. And it just, the presentation, the execution was flawless. Very little in the way of bugs, just some minor bugs here and there, audio bugs in particular. But yeah, I didn't really come across too many glitches. I mean, this is a very polished experience, especially for what started out as a small team of developers. So that is actually incredibly impressive, and just what they've managed to do with the with the mechanics and the system and all that. Like I mentioned, borrowing from some heavy hitters, but combining them in a way that's just absolutely beautiful. I mean, the Pictos and Lumina system, this is something that's actually going to remind you of, I want to say Final Fantasy IX, with the way that, you could equip things. And I've seen a few other games do this where you in this game, I'll use it as an example, you can equip these Pictos. And these are going to provide passive effects as well as stat boosts. And you can only equip up to 3 at a time. But once you've played through 4 battles, you master that Picto, and you can now use it as a Lumina. And so it won't use up one of your Picto slots, and you'll be able to get not the stat boosts, but the passive effect that it provides, and equip it to any character. So you master the Pictos with one character, and then you can use the Luminas with the other characters. That's the way that it works. And it's a tried and true system. We've seen it in other turn-based RPGs, and it works well here. And it also allows for some of these, again, just really overpowered builds that you can make in the game. I mean, there's a whole discussion online about all the various builds, and each character has a unique play style. So really, it's about just maximizing that. There's a lot of min-maxing and whatnot, and every character has multiple weapons that scale with different attributes. So, and the game provides plenty of recodes, which allow you to completely reset either your skill tree or your attributes. So you can really experiment with that and, try out different skills that are going to work better with a particular weapon, try to make this particular build, and especially putting points into the attributes that scale with the weapon. So there's really everything that you want out of a turn-based RPG like this, and more. I mean, this game just continues to wow me, like I said, and it's the game that people have, since playing 5 minutes into it up until playing through it 3 or 4 times, just really cannot get enough of it and are keep raving about. I've heard almost nothing but positive feedback about this game. I feel like anybody that was even just contradicting that was just, baiting. That's really what it feels like. I don't think I've seen like a single person actually just like legitimately criticize the game. I mean, I've heard some people argue that, no, this isn't, the only turn-based RPG in 2025 that's any good that people are talking about. I mean, there's other games out there, but I mean, this, like I said, this is cream of the crop. This is a really, really high quality experience. So shout out to Sandfall Interactive, and I'm really excited to see what they do with their next game. I really don't even feel like they need to follow up this game in particular. I feel like it's a standalone story. I don't really think there's anything more to do in this world, and that'll become even more apparent as you progress through the story. But I would love to see what they do next, really. Even if they decide to do something of a completely different genre. I mean, because this is one of those games that for a lot of people is going to grip you. Again, even if you're not really a fan of this style of gameplay, the story. I mean, this is something I'd put up in the caliber of the recent God of Wars or Silent Hill 2 or any other story game that's praised for its narrative. But I guess we'll go ahead and get into my final thoughts on Clair Obscur Expedition 33. But what haven't I said about it? Man, this game is just absolutely incredible, and I recommend anybody that is a gamer go check it out. It's not something that's going to appeal to someone who's a more casual gamer. It's definitely, for gamer gamers, but like I said, if you consider yourself somebody who plays video games and enjoys a challenge, this is right up your alley, even if you don't think it's up your alley. I really recommend. Like I said, it's on Game Pass, so you can always give it a try and see if you like it before you spend money if you're on Xbox or PC. Again, Game Pass is such a phenomenal tool for that, and other subscription services like it. Say what you will, about not owning the game or whatever, but it gives you a chance to try a game, not just a demo, but try a game and really find out if you like it, or get to play something with your friends when you're broke. and then, if you really want to own it, you can make the decision to own it, and you can own the games that you want to. And this is a game that I would definitely love to add to my collection. I'll probably wait on a re-release, but I will definitely be giving money to Sandfall at some point, just to show like this is what we want. And really, like I said, AA Studios have been killing it lately, with the likes of Atlas or Ryuga Gotoku. But anyway, that is my spoiler-free impressions of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Definitely going to revisit this later. If I don't end up replacing one of my picks for next season, I'll find a way to squeeze it in. This is something I want to talk about very soon, and hopefully I can get my buddy Michael on it. And I'm also recommending this to my co-hosts. I keep telling them, like, guys, you have to play this. Like, what the fuck are you doing if you haven't tried this? Seriously. Like, all I'm asking to anybody that listens is that if you have hardware that can run this game, definitely give it a shot. Like right now, go boot it up and play it.
Soon she'll wake and paint again. Paint a new number, ticking down every year. one stroke. And everyone of that age vanishes into nothingness. Every year she paints again. And every year, an expedition departs for the continent with one hopeless mission. Destroy the paintress so she can never paint death again. We'll break the cycle so she can't steal anyone else's future.
This world is full of wonders.
Yet everywhere we go, we walk with death.
Do you mean we're the only ones left?
Even if we fail, we lay the trail for those who will come after. Right? We are Expedition 33.
Moving on, the second game of our Game Launch ×2 or double feature is going to be the 100-Line Last Defense Academy. Now, this hasn't been getting quite as much buzz. In fact, I haven't really heard anybody in most of my spheres talking about it. But this comes from the creators of the Danganronpa and Zero Escape franchises, which I have played and I really, really, really enjoy. Danganronpa is something that we're supposed to cover this season, but we're going to end up pushing it to next season. But love Danganronpa. And I can see the influence here. It's more than subtle. I mean, they even kind of make some tongue-in-cheek references throughout. I can see the influence of that and the Zero Escape games with the multiple endings and whatnot. But this is a tactical RPG, which I love me some tactical RPG. So yeah, give me some Danganronpa beats tactical RPG. Perfect. Sign me the fuck up. I pre-ordered this as soon as I heard about it. I was like, wow. And it's coming to Switch. And I have been playing it on Switch and now on my Switch too. I'm actually just playing it. It's one of those games like Persona that has a kind of a sort of a calendar system. It goes day by day. So you play through 100 days. And so I've actually been doing that. I've been playing once a day, just a single in-game day. So it kind of works, although it doesn't have like the full calendar with the months and everything. It's just 100 days. And apparently this game has 100 endings. So you may have to play through those 100 days multiple times. I'm actually getting close to day 50 or so, I believe. So I haven't even completed the first playthrough. And I've heard that the endings are really quite something. So I'm actually excited to experience that. Getting into the gameplay. So this is a tactical RPG. What I really noticed about this compared to other tactical RPGs is that it's very fast-paced. Battles are just flow really, really fast. And so even if, again, this is the game that even if you're not necessarily a fan of tactical RPGs, this might work for you because it's so fast-paced. And what I like about it is that all of these characters have different archetypes and different ways that their attacks hit. So their attacks are going to hit in different patterns. And so it's almost like a puzzle kind of figuring out which characters can clear out enemies in the most efficient way possible. And then how you can chain those attacks together to get the most out of a turn before turning it over to the enemy. So, you know, certain attacks like they have their version of ultimate attacks, which are voltage attacks, are going to give you more AP so that you can keep the battle going. And so you can actually clear out entire waves of enemies in one turn if you do it efficiently. So that's what I really liked about it. Again, it's very fast-paced, and there's a sort of sense to it that there are a lot of different ways to go about a particular battle. And what I also was really impressed by was the fact that so far, every single character that I've unlocked is able to be used in battle with no caps. So you can have like something like 15 characters on screen, and this game doesn't force you to pick and choose party members. And there's one thing I don't like about RPGs. It's having to constantly pick between party members, because I want to keep everybody in my party and use everybody. So it becomes a system of reorganizing your team and trying to figure out, you know, how to get each character time, or just focusing on which characters you like. This game is different. You're gonna use all of them, and when in a particular turn you may not have enough AP to use every single character on the board, but you're gonna use them in the continuing turns, and the battles go by fast enough that, you know, you'll feel like you're using everybody. And again, you can do this efficiently and actually use everybody. Another facet of this game's tactical RPG combat is that when characters die, and as is common in tactical RPGs, they do get removed for the rest of the battle or the round, but they come back. So this isn't like Fire Emblem where it's like permadeath and then they're gone forever. So actually killing off characters actually becomes sort of a strategy, because they also get a version of voltage attacks that are a little bit more powerful when they're close to death. And that also, when they die, it fills up the voltage meter. So you can actually turn the tide of combat really quickly and clear out a bunch of enemies by killing a character and then giving your other characters more turns to take. So sometimes letting a character die actually is the best way. In fact, the game doesn't really give you much in the way of healing up to a certain point. So it almost encourages you to do this. And there's a whole story mechanic whereby characters get resurrected, and that's part of the plot. So that's really cool. In terms of the story, the setup does feel very similar to a Danganronpa game. You know, you've got these group of high school students that are locked together in this school, and you get to in between battles, you know, you have these like daily life sections where you kind of just get to talk to characters and upgrade your weapons and you know, up your social stats, or in this case, their report card grades, which in turn will help you in battle. So in the way that Danganronpa and Persona kind of does this too, right? Where you just have all this like downtime where you're going around and you're just interacting with the other students and whatnot. And that's preparing you for the battle. But you can also go out and like go on expeditions any day, or take part in training battles to pass time. So if you want to just keep fighting, you can. But yeah, the setup actually feels very, very similar to Danganronpa. In fact, they lampoon that. There's a particular character who keeps talking about who keeps talking about killing games, which is an obvious reference. I mean, there's even the cute mascot character whose motives are unclear, you know, and all of that. That being said, there are some plot twists even early on that are going to kind of throw you for a loop, that are going to subvert that. Like it's intentionally lampooned so that it can be subverted, I think. And that's actually honestly really brilliant. I feel like this is kind of a response to the fan demand for another Danganronpa game. You know, like, yeah, no, we've done that already. Let's do something new. This is a different studio, but it actually comes from a couple of the lead developers of those games. So you're definitely going to notice it if you've played those. And when it comes to Zero Escape, which I've only played through the first game and part of the second, I see the parallel there with just the multiple endings and having to go back and rewind things in order to try the multiple endings. And as I understand it, that's the approach this game goes. But I haven't actually completed one playthrough yet, so we'll see. So I like that it gives players that much replayability, though, you know, and allows you to just continue to play the game over and over and over again. It's an efficient way to extend the life of a game. But yeah, I'm really, really, really enjoying Last Defense Academy right now. I think it's a game that I'm going to continue to play every day, just doing one day at a time. Like I was trying to do with Persona and Metaphor, but ended up falling off. I feel like this is maybe even a little bit more bite-sized than I might be able to, because like with Persona, it's like, okay, yeah, but you're going to go on one day, you're going to go into a dungeon and it's going to be, you know, a full several hours of gameplay. Whereas here, even whenever you're doing, you know, the story events and battles, they're going to go by very quickly and honestly leave you wanting for more and really wanting to explore more of these abilities and this style of tactical RPG. I really, really, really enjoy it. And I enjoy all the lovely references, you know, in addition to referencing, you know, Danganronpa and Zero Escape and other games like it. It also, you know, makes the pop culture references that I know, I remember seeing in the Danganronpa games. You know, it's kind of that Leonardo DiCaprio pointing moment where like, I get that. Several screenshots that I've taken, you know, just really, really funny. But so I've heard that this game is actually getting an anime, and I've also heard that Expedition 33, by the way, is getting a live action adaptation. I think a series, possibly a movie. One of the two. I think a series would be better, to be honest. But yeah, but both of these are getting adaptations right after their release, so that's surprising. But I can definitely see how this would fit in an anime, and I'd love to see how they would approach the multiple endings. Like, are they just going to pick one ending? Are they going to create their own route? I don't know. But I'm actually, you know, it makes me even more excited to see all that this game has to offer. And this is something originally I might have just included in our year in review, so I'm actually happy that I had a chance to talk about it and the game that is so far my game of the year. I mean, both of these are up there. I'm definitely going to be thinking about that once we get to that year end and all the games that came out in 2025. I mean, man, what a great year for gaming. I mean, we got 2 great video games that just launched, a bunch of other great video games. I mean, Oblivion Remastered, Doom the Dark Ages, and the Nintendo Switch 2 release, Metroid Prime 4 coming out later this year. There is so much and so much more still to come. I mean, this has honestly been really, really, really good. And gamers are eating good with titles like these. One other thing I wanted to mention, actually, is that the characters in this game are really, really good. Again, it's going to bring Danganronpa vibes. Some, you know, with just how wacky these characters are, but you're going to get a feeling for all of their archetypes. And what I really also enjoyed is that each character also has sort of a underlying character trait, and they're a little bit deeper than they appear. So, you know, hats off to, you know, the same style of characters that are just really, really fun and really, really memorable. Also, the music. The music sounds very, very reminiscent of Danganronpa. I mean, straight up, some of the tracks sound like Danganronpa tracks, like just kind of like a different take on it, basically. And that's a good thing because Danganronpa music is very, very, very good, and it does fit the situation really, really well. So yeah, I also really enjoyed the soundtrack of this. The graphics are really, really good. I didn't really talk about that, but you know, they do kind of a blend of the 2D sprites during your visual novel-esque segments. I mean, because that's what this is, right? Maybe I didn't actually like fully explain this game well enough, but it is a visual novel adventure / tactical RPG. That's where that like Danganronpa Zero Escape gameplay comes in specifically, is kind of that like visual novel-esque style. So you've got that married with some actual like 3D cutscenes and 3D gameplay, which is really, really good. It actually blends together really well. It's got a nice anime style to it. So in terms of presentation, this game is excellently done. The load times are fine, even better on the Nintendo Switch 2, honestly. I mean, even without the actual Switch 2. I don't think this game got an official Switch 2 patch or anything. So, but yeah, it does seem to be faster, obviously. But I guess I'll go ahead and get into my final thoughts on the 100-line Last Defense Academy. If you are a fan of Danganronpa Zero Escape, or you're a fan of tactical RPGs, I would definitely recommend it. And it's a fun game. It's plays well on the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. And I actually hope that we see some kind of Switch 2 update. I'm not really sure what all they would add to it, but I jump at the chance to get even more, obviously, of a good thing. And this is definitely a good thing. Really, really, really enjoy the combat. I'm a huge fan of the social sim-esque gameplay that you see in games like this, Danganronpa, Persona, or even Fire Emblem to an extent, which is a tactical RPG. I mean, at least insofar as it comes to like Three Houses or Engage. yeah, if any of that sounds appealing to you, then go give this a chance.
You were all transferred to this academy for a very special reason. The complete and utter extermination of any and all enemy troops who dares to threaten our beloved school's peace. During your time here, you happy few, will be molded into the perfect Special Defense Unit.
What even are those monsters, anyhow?
As such, I've decided to designate them School Invaders. Oh, they are a violent and pernicious race, the enemy of all mankind.
This is where we make our stand. This is where we finally start working together as one big team!
When I think of how you're all counting on me, I feel courage welling up inside.
Hey, everyone! Sorry I'm late. I can do this! I'll fight alongside everybody else.
We're dead if we lose here, right? If this is what it takes to stop that, then I'll fight too!
Don't worry. You don't have to do it alone. We'll protect what's important to you together. I want each and every one of us to get through this and go home alive. Not just to ourselves, but to the people we care about, too.
You think you can screw with us, assholes? I'll cave your damn heads in!
Let's kill them and make it
already.
You filthy insect!
Damn freaks in nature!
Is that Hemo Anima? Back to how it was again!
It's gone. It just vanished.
Or your life is forfeit.
I'll find a way to save you. The fate of this school all depends on you.
But I think that about wraps up our game launch ×2 review. If you enjoyed this episode, stay tuned for more. We got out our first Bad Game review, which was supposed to be for Bad Game April, but we're getting it now. And that was Hong Kong 97. So our next episode is actually going to be Bubsy 3D. And then we're going to try to get out within the next couple weeks our Bushido Blade Part 1 and Part 2 episodes, which was our content for May, so that we can finally jump into the Nintendo Switch 2 release. So if all goes according to plan, I actually hope to get out at least Part 1 of the Switch 2 episode, which is going to be actually a game launch review on Mario Kart World. And then Part 2 will be our console review / launch lineup review. Because I just don't really feel like there's going to be enough to talk about Mario Kart in 2 episodes. But I love my Switch 2. I'm really, really, really enjoying it. Also, I know there's a lot of content coming out. But yeah, sometime here within the next month, I'd also like to get out our... Actually, I'm planning on recording these next week if we can. So if all goes according to plan over the next couple weeks, you should see a lot of content from us. But I know I always say things and then it turns out different, so I don't want to promise anything. But Doom Eternal, we're going to do a bonus round episode on, and then we're going to get around to Doom the Dark Ages. Hopefully before it gets as late as it got for these couple of games, and for Oblivion and for Assassin's Creed. So yeah, stay tuned for all of that. And you can leave us feedback on your platform of choice. You can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, or help us climb up the ranks on Good Pods. If you'd like to support the show, we do have a merch store on Dashery at TeePublic. I'll have links in the show notes to that, as well as our Buy Me a Coffee and our Patreon, where you can get exclusive Let's Play video game commentaries. Once I get through our backlog of episodes, I've kind of got it on pause right now because of that. But once I get through the backlog of episodes, I would like to jump back onto Collateral Let's Play. I'm more concerned with getting our numbered content, our game launch reviews, and everything that we've announced out, within a reasonable amount of time, since we kind of had a lot of delays this season as usual. Hopefully we can kind of get our shit together here next season. I know I've said this before, but start pre-recording stuff so that we don't run into the issue of content not getting out whenever I'd like it to get out. Hopefully, I'm not forgetting anything. With Collateral Cinema, we did get out our episode on Doctor Who: The Day of the Doctor, and very soon, if not already, we should have out our episode on Rocky IV. As of the time of recording this, we should be recording that tomorrow night. So, really excited to jump back into the Rocky franchise, and then we'll be following that up with Mean Girls, and then our season finale on The Room, which is going to be a Redux episode. And if y'all know me, y'all know I love The Room. But I guess that'll wrap things up for now. I'll have links in the show notes to everything that I haven't mentioned. We're on social media, and I'll have all that in the show notes too. No point in repeating it. But with all that being said, I've been Ashley Chancellor. This was Collateral Gaming. We are out. Collateral Gaming is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and game clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.